Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope it's fantastic and wonderful. I'm good. I'm in a little bit of pain, but I'm good, and I'll tell you why. This weekend, we went to M's parents' house to help do some siding work. And I told M's dad when we first met, like, I'll do all the work that you need me to do, but you have to teach me how to weld. He's a sheet metal worker, and he said, sure. So I have a welder, and I've just never been able to figure it out. And I bought the welder. Well, I didn't buy the welder. I don't want to sit. My dad bought the welder in 1994 from, I think, Sam's Club. It's a Champion brand 110 welder, and it was a flux core welder. It's a MIG machine. And if I'm saying a whole bunch of words that don't make sense, a MIG is it's basically a type of electrical arc welding where you have a gun and there's just a wire that feeds out of it, and electricity sparks, and as you pull the trigger, it turns on the electricity, but also makes the wire start to flow, and so you can just weld as much as you want or until you run out of wire. And there's two types of MIG. There's flux core, and there is gas shielded. When we bought the machine, it was a flux core machine, meaning you have to take a special type of wire that has a flux in the core of the wire, like the copper or the metal, not copper, I don't know why I said that. The steel surrounds a flux center. And what happens is when you weld, that flux burns and creates an inert gas. I don't know what kind of inert gas, but that's really important because it shields the hot metal from oxygen and keeps it from, basically hot metal and oxygen like instantly oxidizes, and you don't want that in the weld. It would make the weld joint really weak. So you have to protect the weld joint while the weld is going on. And that's what the flux core wire does. We bought the welder, and like within 6 months or something, my dad bought the gas kit, which would convert the welder to a gas welder, a shielding gas welder. We just never used it. So I took the welder from my dad probably 5 years ago, and then I bought a bottle and I put the gas conversion kit on it because I could never get the flux core to work right. And so I've had the gas conversion on it. If you ever saw the video where I made my bench vise here, I used that welder to make this, and I can never get the thing to run. So when we were at her dad's house this weekend, he brought out his welder, and he said, in a bunch of 16 gauge plate, and said, let's just practice. And so I spent like, and let me tell you why, before we get into all of this. I think it's a good skill to have. Like, of all the things I can do, welding is the one I feel the least confident in. I can technically weld, but I don't feel confident in what I'm doing. Electrical, plumbing, carpentry, mechanical engineering, automotive repair, all that sort of stuff I feel really comfortable with. I can fix anything in this house, but welding is the one thing that I've always felt I lacked knowledge. And I've been looking at making myself a dining room table, and I want a counter height table, and I've been wanting to do painted black metal legs with like a cherry top or something like that. And I decided, welding would be the best way to make that. I could do 2x2 box steel with some 1x, maybe 3 for the chair rails and all that sort of stuff, and it would be really fun to put all that together. So M's dad brings all this stuff out, and we set it up, and I start welding, and I just cannot get it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I couldn't get a good flow. We tried pushing, we tried pulling, we tried all kinds of, and I just didn't. I spent probably 45 minutes trying. He kept giving me tips. I would try, and just screwed it all up. So M decided it was her turn. I said, sure. So I gave her the gloves and the hood and all that stuff, and I turned my back, because you can't look at it. You could if you want to go blind. It'll very quickly burn retinas. It'll give you a sunburn, actually. If you weld without clothing on, if you weld without clothing on, you're crazy. If you weld without long sleeves or a face shield or whatever, you will get sunburned from it. There's a lot of UV coming off. But anyway, I turn my back, and I hear her dad give her a little bit of instructions, and then I hear this like most perfect sizzling sound. And she stops, And her dad goes, well, Chevee, I don't think you need to worry about welding. You've got a welder right here. And I was like, yeah, I heard that, you know, and she just nailed it. We tried overlapping plates, we tried T-joints, and she just got it all, like, just no problem. I mean, just lay down these perfect beads. And I tried again and still couldn't quite get it. I started to understand the mechanics of it, but she just, I mean, it was just perfect. Like, she just laid down perfect welds right from the start. And so it was one of those situations where I had to admit defeat and say, you know what, maybe there's one of those skills I'm never going to be good at. I can be good enough to put two pieces of metal together, but it's not going to be attractive. And maybe when we build this table, I'll let Em do the welding on the legs, because I mean, she nailed it. It was awesome. It was really fun. But in all of that, we did a whole bunch of siding on the house. I tore my shoulder up again. Both of my shoulders got hurt when I was a mechanic working overhead. I've never been diagnosed. I've never complained to a doctor about it because I just don't see the point. But I'm pretty sure I have some damage to my rotator cuff. I have not torn it in two. I can lift my arm, but it's extremely painful. I don't want to lift it any higher than that. And after doing the work on the siding and nailing and stuff all day, and I did a little bit of overhead work, it's really painful. So I'm having a really off day, and I think it's because I tried sleeping up, like sitting, not necessarily sitting up, but on my back in bed, like, you know, up, so I wouldn't roll over on it. I didn't sleep very well, and I'm just having a really weird day. I don't feel right. Everything feels wrong. I did some yard work, took lots of ibuprofen, so I'm just going to chill. It's Memorial Day here in the United States. It's a day where we kind of remember fallen soldiers and pay our respects. And so it's a day off. And traditionally there's been cookouts and stuff. Today it's just been me and Em on the couch. I did yard work and stuff. But we've just been kind of taking it easy. And I think I have to let this rest, because invariably this week Monster will want to go play catch. And my shoulder's not ready for that. So, that's what I did this weekend. What did you do? Are you in the United States? Do you do anything special for Memorial Day? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is fruition. It is a noun meaning the completion of a task, the achievement of a goal as the result of significant and persistent effort. John Nash, a mathematician whose life was featured in A Beautiful Mind, received the Nobel Prize for the fruition of his work in game theory decades after he completed it. Fruition, F-U-R-I-T-I-O-N. And his work on game theory was really awesome. And by the way, I am working on my board game now. I got the rest of the components from the Game Crafter, and hopefully I'll have some news to share soon.